We've had a bit of an Enigmorph dry spell over the past few months, haven't we? Granted, during the month of October, I was working on a lot of writing and a few illustrations for the world of the Enigmorphs, but I know you guys want more creature designs. I plan to deliver, and in a few moments I'll hand over the mic to our favorite punctual proctor. But before that, I just want to preempt a couple of questions that I know you guys are going to have that, can't really be answered in universe. First of all, you're going to notice that the Lexi and Nominatus pages look different in this video than they have in the past. I want to try a new way of presenting these creature designs that's a little less formulaic. We'll sit with it for a few videos, and if I really don't like it, or if you guys really don't like it, I'll go back to the old format. To that same effect, you'll notice that these Enigmorphs don't have their variant forms listed on their Lexi entry. I'm not doing away with variant forms, I really like that idea, but I'm also not going to come up with them at the same time that I come up with the original designs for these Enigmorphs. I found myself kind of half-assing the variant designs due to time constraints, and I don't want to sacrifice quality for quantity. Some of you may also have questions about the in-universe lore. If you find yourself lost at any point during this video, it might be worthwhile to go back and watch older videos from this series, as well as the short stories video that I made at the end of October. In fact, definitely watch that short stories video if you want to stay up to date with the overall lore of the world of the Enigmorphs. Finally, a lot of you, well, actually, more like a small fraction of you, have asked that I, Jack, the artist, explain my design process and be a little bit more in-depth with my explanation of how I came up with these designs. Instead of making that into its own video and including it with my regular uploads, I'm instead going to turn those into separate videos available to Patreon supporters and channel members. If you want to help support the channel and get a little bit of an in-depth behind-the-scenes look at how I create the Enigmorphs, feel free to support us on Patreon or by becoming a channel member. And, excuse me, that's it for my little preamble. Now we travel to the world of the Enigmorphs and the first in a new series of lectures. I hope you enjoy. Yes, everyone sit down. Have a seat, and then I'll address all of your concerns. I'll wait. Thank you. First, the rumors. Yes, it is true that due to a sudden and unexpected change in HHC leadership, your orientation seminars have been cut short. Congratulations. As of right now, all of you are officially HHC members. It is also true that Richard Dorr, the founder of the Hunter's Hope Club, and a dear personal friend of mine, has been murdered. As of right now, the details of his death remain a mystery. Yes, even to the other co-founders. An investigation is pending, but unfortunately, closure in this matter is a luxury that time does not afford us. Perhaps someday we may know the truth, but for now, I expect you all to step up and accept your new positions as valued members of our proud organization. Now, this means these lectures are no longer orientation seminars. Welcome to your first research report assembly. From this day forward, we will gather not to be educated on the basics of Enigmorphs and the HHC, but to present the newest information gathered in the field by agents such as yourselves. Time is of the essence, and questions must wait until the conclusion of today's lecture. For now, let us commence with the most recent fieldwork collected by our heretofore established HHC field researchers. We will divide our research reports by geographical location, starting locally and slowly fanning out as you all begin to conduct research on a broader scale. Today, we are as local gets, our hometown of Providence, Rhode Island. Providence may not be the most illustrious city in the United States, or even on the East Coast. It is dwarfed in size and population by Boston to the north and New York City to the south. Nonetheless, Providence is of significant importance to us and our organization. For whatever reason, this city is a hotbed of Enigmorph activity. Some theories include our proximity to the sea and the international ships that make berth here at our ports. Others among us insist that the land our city was built on had always attracted the supernatural, paranormal, or otherwise uncanny. Our research into the Enigmorphs themselves aims to solve this greater mystery. Knowledge is our strongest weapon against the unknown. On that note, I present a nascent fauna and arthro enigmorph recently named Bolexi. These enigmorphs, despite their insectoid appearance, are surprisingly intelligent. They can comprehend human language, albeit only in written form. Not only this, but they seem to sustain themselves off the knowledge they glean therefrom. They hoard scraps of paper, fragments of stories, reports, or even advertisements, and adhere them together like paper mache to create a protective shell that keeps them safe from the elements. Or so we once thought, though now it has been reported that these enigmorphs, like the common insects they corrupted from, prefer to live in man-made structures, particularly libraries. As I'm sure you all know, there is no shortage of libraries in this town. The Athenaeum, just down the road from our headquarters on Benefice Street, the many archives of Brown University, and even within the cathedral-like bookshelves of this building, you will find Bolexi quietly amassing a trove of fragmented information, not to simply protect themselves from the cold, but to entertain and inform themselves, as an old man would with his evening paper. It goes without saying that they make excellent partners for HHC members who work in espionage. They can quite literally be a fly on the wall in rooms where we would never hope to invade. They are, unfortunately, somewhat difficult to instruct. Trainers working with these enigmorphs struggle to have Bolexi return with relevant documents, and they will instead bring whatever pieces of paper they find personally interesting. Bolexi can corrupt into Papyrillion, a Harbinger, Arthro, Fey, and Void type enigmorph. Though not much larger than Bolexi, Papyrillion possess a seemingly more human-like mind. They don't just hoard entertaining information. Each individual will collect written works for a single genre that they find most interesting. They are able to use these pages as wings, affixing them to their backs and somehow controlling them like those of a giant butterfly. They do not eat, but have tube-like mouthparts that extend and retract. They use these to suck up ink, and have been documented writing with these mouthparts to make changes or add additional information to their collected works. Recently, an infestation at the aforementioned Athenaeum saw countless books mangled and disassembled, and some pages were annotated by unknown contributors. HHC field agents were dispatched to remove what had been a swarm of Papyrillion. Some were, controversially, destroyed. Others were captured and trained by HHC members to carry out their work for our benefit. Remarkably, as mischievous as these enigmorphs may be, they are dedicated workers so long as the task at hand is interesting to them. It is worth mentioning that the civilians at the Athenaeum were unaware of the true nature of their dilemma. They thought it was merely meddlesome students or perhaps an outbreak of paper-eating moths. As always, we keep our business secret from the masses. Intervention from the uneducated only leads to unnecessary complications. Finally, and far less common here in Providence than its harbinger or nascent forms, is Secteraglyph, an apex Arthro, Fey, and Daemon type enigmorph. Like most apex enigmorphs, Secteraglyph is dangerous, not because of its size, strength, or any physical weapon it possesses. True, it sports a pair of menacing pincers on its head, but as of yet there have been no documented cases of these creatures using them to attack. The threat that Secteraglyph poses is far more complex. It, like its other forms, collects countless written documents and keeps them with it at all times. However, unlike Papyrillion or Bolexi, this enigmorph is able to utilize information in ways that not even a human could. It can not only read, but understand more intricately than even the writer of these documents would be able to. If one were to hand Secteraglyph a challenging math problem or a research paper on a complex subject such as theoretical flight, it would be able to come up with its own conclusions using the information presented. It is able to cross-reference different sources, going so far as to seek out the authors of whatever it reads to extract further information from their minds. It amasses this information in a soft, pearlescent organ that hovers above its head. It is very protective of this strange appendage, and it is theorized that destroying it would cause Secteraglyph to revert back to its nascent form. The only documented Secteraglyph encounter was recorded in Providence. An HHC member reportedly spent several days sealed away within the private library at Brown University, where she apparently received an unceasing presentation of hoarded information from a Secteraglyph. Tragically, the informational overload combined with a consistent lack of sleep has left her permanently mentally disabled. The Secteraglyph in question remains in the basement on campus, and there further reports claim to have heard a crude mimicry of the victim's voice, rattling off incoherent trivia. This particular Enigmorph must be dealt with in a timely manner. The basement library has been sealed off from the public, but we are yet unsure what the most effective course of action might be. The last HHC member to deal with the Secteraglyph was an experienced and hardened field agent. It's hard to imagine someone less qualified would fare better in another encounter. Nonetheless, we find ourselves disadvantaged and understaffed. It falls to you, our greenest members, to handle this problem. Now that I've placed that immovable weight upon your shoulders, I think it's time for a brief recess. And make no mistake, now more than ever, time is of the essence. Return to the lecture hall in precisely 1 minute and 13 seconds. There is more we must discuss before class is dismissed. Hey, I'm back. Yeah, I'm sure most of you are expecting me to make a return. I'm cutting in for just a moment while you're out for recess to remind all of you that if you like the brushes that I'm using to make these illustrations, they're available for you to purchase on our Gumroad. We have several different brush packs, all made by my wife and fellow artist, Claire. For my Enigmorph illustrations, I use a lot of the brushes from the Field Journal pack, as well as the blunt pencil brush from our Shimmer pack. A purchase from you would help support our channel and help you create artwork like mine. Alright, that's it. Not too long, right? I know things are getting hectic at the HHC right now, so I'm not going to keep you any longer than I need to. Until next time. I must confess, I expected at least half of you to return later than I had asked. Don't expect immoderate praise. Leaving a room and coming back within a reasonable time frame is the bare minimum to be asked from certified HHC agents. However, I am proud of you all and your demonstrable growth. You may prove yourself useful to this organization after all. Now, let's get back to it. College Hill, the wealthiest and most distinguished neighborhood in Providence, and home to no fewer Enigmorphs than can be found anywhere else in the world. This part of town has bones made of bricks. From the ground beneath your feet to the very building in which we now sit, hundreds upon thousands of man-made bricks make possible the elaborate modern city of Providence. So numerous they are that most who call this place home will go about their everyday business without even acknowledging them. They are, and have always been, as far as the general public is concerned, no more intriguing than the blades of grass on a sprawling lawn. But to us, nothing can be dismissed as unimportant merely because it's plentiful. Look carefully as you traverse the many winding streets of our city. There is evidence here of humanity right below your feet. Indeed, mankind will leave his mark on everything he touches. That fragment of sentience, the unfettered intent of the mortal who laid the bricks, it lingers. The prime Enigmorphs can corrupt that intent and bind it even to inanimate objects. The mind-numbing monotony the hard-working men who toiled to bring our proud city to life endured, all their frustration and unspoken woes, these persist in the Enigmorphs they unwittingly helped to create. Fortunately for us, a brick, sentient and vindictive though it may be, cannot cause significant damage. Not alone, at least. This does not stop Krumblet, a nascent Minera and Terra Enigmorph, from causing mischief whenever and wherever it can. For the most part, they lay still where they first corrupted, letting weeds grow around them so that they may manipulate them like limbs. Then, when they have identified a target, they'll shift. A tiny change of angle, a slight tilt to one side, and suddenly the indignant boots that step on them without care are sent careening, their wearers humiliated at the very least, physically injured at worst. Krumblet only become a real problem when several corrupt within close vicinity of one another. They communicate and collude, organizing elaborate schemes that can cause serious damage if left unchecked. Removing these Enigmorphs takes time, however, as each captured or destroyed Krumblet must be replaced by another brick, lest the structural integrity of whatever street or wall they had been a part of be compromised. Agents are advised to work in groups when dealing with these Enigmorphs, and to consult HHC administration if a large outbreak of Krumblets is reported. If enough Krumblet come in contact with one another, they will unite as one, corrupting into a singular apex Enigmorph known as Weighlay. This construct and terror type is actually a colony, up to 100 Krumblets sharing a singular mind and purpose. The more Krumblets get together, the larger the Weighlay they form. Unlike their nascent form, Weighlay is no mere prankster. They are dangerous and malevolent. They can replace entire streets and remain there undetected for years. They enjoy raising themselves up ever so slightly from time to time, just enough to trip up passers-by, but reports of missing stagecoaches, horses, and humans suggest they do more than cause a ruckus. It has not yet been seen by any HHC member, but we believe that they will occasionally ambush prey unaware, lunging up from the street and swallowing victims whole. And yet, they pose even greater threats. Some Weighlay are exceptionally clever and are able to slowly move whilst pedestrians are walking on their backs. Usually doing so at night, when there are fewer witnesses and their victims have poorer sense of their surroundings, Weighlay will silently abduct victims and quite literally set them on the wrong path. Suddenly, a victim might find themselves walking down a road they don't recognize, with no recollection of how they got there or how to return. Even HHC members have found themselves thrown off course by these Enigmorphs, and some of our researchers suggest that powers beyond our control instruct trained Waylays to deliberately intercept active field agents. So stay sharp, hunters. It is vital to always keep a close eye on your surroundings, even within the comforts of our dear city. Enigmorphs lurk around every corner, and the threat they pose to us, our organization, and all of mankind cannot be underestimated. That concludes this seminar. When next we meet, we will continue to explore the city of Providence and the Enigmorphs that dwell here. If you have any questions about the information presented here today, please write them down below in your notebooks. I will be sure to address your curiosity as soon as possible.